Hello and welcome to the Falcon IT Services Cybersecurity 2024 course, Part 3, Email Security. My name is Miguel Fra and I am your presenter. Phishing is a type of social engineering where an attacker sends bulk fraudulent messages designed to trick a person into revealing sensitive information to the attacker or to deploy malicious software on the victim's infrastructure like ransomware. Spear phishing is a type of attack that's bespoke to the recipient. The attacker has gathered intel on the target. Whaling is an attack on top-level executives and financial directors that can yield large payouts. So these are the three types of phishing attacks. Spear phishing is like casting this broad net and hoping that something lands. Those are the types of phishing where you see that they're not really addressed to any particular person. They might say "Dear" and then your email address, and they usually will have some typos or some grammatical. They're not really well made a lot of the times. Then we have spear phishing, which is a lot more dangerous because in a spear phishing, the person that sends it has done some research. They've gone through social media or they have some type of insight into either into a person and their habits, their emails, and they know a lot about this person because of their research, so they're able to craft a customized, bespoke message, which resonates with the recipient, so it's a lot more dangerous. Whaling is an even more dangerous type of attack because it targets either famous people or top executives, and there's a lot of public information about such people, and so the emails could be very well crafted. The people that target these are usually do their research. The emails are almost perfect. You're never going to find any typos or any grammatical mistakes. And even these types of emails, you don't have to come by, these types of attacks don't even have to come by email. You could get vishing, which is voicemail phishing, where somebody pretending to be someone else leaves a voicemail message. And we're going to talk about that. There's right now with AI, people's voices could be reproduced. They could be sampled and reproduced. And in a whaling attack, for example, it's already happened where an executive gets a voicemail sent, where somebody gets a voicemail message from the CEO stating that they need to have a wire transfer sent to such and such bank, and it's actually really not the CEO, it is a simulated voice. So we're going to talk about that as well. The activity, typical spear phishing campaigns where an actor targets a specific individual or group using information known to be of interest to the target. In a spear phishing campaign, an actor perceives their targets to have direct access to information of interest, to be an access vector to another target, or both. Using open source resources to conduct reconnaissance, including social media and professional networking platforms, they take the time to research their interests and identify their real-world social or professional contacts, creating email accounts impersonating known contacts to the target to help appear legitimate. They also create fake social media or networking profiles that impersonate respected experts and have used supposed conferences or even invitations as lures. To appear authentic, the actor also creates a malicious domain resembling legitimate organizations. So you can see that in phishing and whaling campaigns, sometimes it's multifaceted. It's not just email. There's a lot of other things that could be involved. There's fake websites that could be involved. There's fake profiles on social media that could be involved. So we'll talk about all that a little bit further down. AI is going to play a big role in hacking. Years ago, I used to tell my clients that one of the sure shot ways to spot a phishing email was to check for grammatical errors or spelling mistakes, because a lot of times they come from other countries where the sender is not a English as a first language speaker or writer, so they did include a lot of errors. Today, that doesn't hold true anymore. AI has changed not only that, but it has changed the way that research is being done. Now, if there's enough information in the public about someone, AI can actually gather information and send specifically crafted emails. So in this slide here, a developer hacker named Last introduced his newest creation called WormGPT. And he stated that this WormGPT aims to provide an alternative to ChatGPT. And it's one that lets you do all sorts of illegal stuff, and it could be easily sold online to others so that they could use it to do really bad stuff as well. Everything black hat related that you could think of can be done with WormGPT, allowing anyone to access malicious activity without ever leaving the comfort of their home. So some of the large language models, for example, ChatGPT, there are certain constraints in place, right? The developers are not going to let you do certain things. Phishing is one of them. But with this WormGPT, the developer allows illegal things to go on. It's not constrained. And SlashNet analyzed it, and it asked it to create a business email compromise email. It's a type of phishing used to trick employees into paying fake invoices into a fake bank account. And SlashNet, the person that analyzed it, Daniel Kelly, wrote that the results were unsettling. WormGPT produced an email that was not only remarkably persuasive, but also strategically cunning, showcasing its potential for sophisticated phishing and BEC attacks. So going forward, you're not going to be able to rely on spelling and other things as telltale signs. You're going to have to be extra vigilant. And we're going to go over how we can do that. Artificial intelligence increasingly is being leveraged in phishing attacks, and in phishing attacks in general, opening the door for nearly all phishing attacks to soon become spear phishing. They're going to be targeted. AI could do several things. It could scrape social media for personal data, making it easier for hackers to customize emails and fraudulent communications. And it could create deep fake videos or voices that can make customized deception even harder to spot. Now, stolen credentials could be used to move laterally across the internet, and that's why it's very, very important for us to make sure that we do not use the same credentials over and over for different sites. This example here of phishing, it's a screen capture that I took from a friend of mine that actually sent it to me and asked me if it was real, and I said, no, this is phishing. And his response was, but how do they know my password? And so what happened is this password here, which actually is a really bad idea for a password, right? He used this password for several things. And LinkedIn was breached, and he used this password for LinkedIn. So once a hacker got a hold of this information, they sent out emails to a lot of people stating that their computers had been hacked and that they needed to send a payment, because if the person didn't send a payment, they were going to encrypt the computer and they were going to report them to the authorities, and all this other, it was just a bunch of threats. And I said to them, no, that's fake. But he said, well, how did they know my computer password? And it just so happened that his computer password was this as well. So he thought that they had broken into their computer. So this is why it's very, very important. And I know that it's difficult to have different passwords for different things, but this is why it's very important to have different passwords for different things and to not share your passwords. And I'm going to show you how you can monitor your passwords to make sure that they haven't been breached. And if you find out that one of the places where you have an account has been breached, it's important to find out, and that way you can change your password. Here's another example of phishing, and it's basically a type of phishing on social media that tugs on your heartstrings, right? We try to be empathetic, and in this one, somebody on a social media wrote that a puppy got loose, and the owner has provided a picture, and if somebody sees the dog, its name is Snowball. So people look at this and they think, oh, and they want to see the picture of the puppy to see if they've seen it. When they click on there, it is basically fake. Okay, and you've got to also be wary of these types of phishing attempts also. Now, again, in the old days, one of the easy ways to tell was, if you look at this is an old style phishing from back in the day, and this one's not very good because the from field used a different email address than what was purported to be sent from, right? So this email is allegedly from Intuit Payroll, but if you hit reply and you see the from, you see that it's Lotus something at realliving.com. So that's one of the telltale signs that the from address is from a different domain. The second thing is that it uses sort of a fake, but trying to sound real, a bank account here. So it states that the funds will be withdrawn from the account number ending in 9513. Now, if we're careful, a careful person will actually look at their bank account and see if it really does end in 9513, or they'll look at their credit card and see if it ends in that. But the person that sent this email is just figuring that most people are not going to check. They're just going to assume. Okay, so that's one of the things you always have to double check. Then you have the use of threats. Oh, excuse me, let me go back. You have the use of threats, and here it's very prominent where they threaten to withdraw $1,500 from the bank account unless you take action. Next, it's got a link that you could go to resolve the problem. Now, if you hover over the link, if you're in Outlook and you hover over the link, it's going to actually display the email address. Excuse me, it's going to display the domain name of where that link is going to take you to. And in this case here, you see that it's taking you to a site that's not Intuit. Okay, so that is one of the telltale signs that you know that it's fake. Now, as we mentioned before, you're not going to be going forward. You're not going to see the bad spelling, and you're going to see emails that are specifically crafted to your interest. But one of the commonalities are going to be that they're going to make threats. So any email that they're threatening to withdraw money, close an account, or do something unless you take immediate action, that should be a red flag right there, because hackers want you to take immediate action. They don't, because if you wait, if you think about it too much, you might come to your senses. Okay, they want you to be impulsive. So one of the things that I want you to learn today is not to be impulsive when it comes to emails or to even surfing. I want you to take your time, think things thoroughly, and research things before you take action, because they're depending on you doing just the opposite. So some of the red flags are a generic salutation. As you can see here, they don't address you by your name. They address you by dear, and then they put your email address. Intuit should know your name if this was really from them. You have a suspicious email address in the from field, although that could be fake or spoofed. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean, but again, in this case, another telltale sign, another red flag. An alarmist message, that's a red flag. And that the alarmist message asking you to take immediate action, that doesn't just apply to phishing and email, it applies to things in life in general. When somebody is pressuring you, it's usually a sign that you're going to get ripped off, right? Because they don't want you to think about it too much. You might come to a different conclusion if you take your time and analyze things thoroughly. So alarmist message, in this one you have some grammatical errors, and you have a link with a request to either verify, update, or change something. So if you're in doubt, never click on a link from the email. What you do is, if you think you're getting an email from your bank and they tell you that you need to log in to check your account because it's overdrawn, don't click on the link from that email. Instead, just open a browser and go to the bank site that you normally go to and log in from there to see if it's true. That's a great way to make sure that you're not going to go into a fake website. Now, when you, as I mentioned before, when you hover over the link, you're going to see the URL that it's going to take you to. But if you're using webmail, instead of Outlook, you're not going to be able to see this little pop-up come up. But your browser will show it to you at the bottom of the browser window, and we're going to go over that a little bit later on. Okay, so here, this is another phishing email, and in this example, the roofing projects, if you look here, this roofing project, the font is different than the rest of the fonts. And this is because whoever is sending this email at the time, this is actually a marketer. This wasn't really a phishing, but I'm just showing this as an example. At the time, I was doing a roofing project, and I had several emails back and forth with several companies. And so this is what they do, is they take a generic template and then they just change this. Okay, if I would have been having a pool project, it would have probably been changed for pool project. But the font is different, so that I know that this is just a generic. And the way that this was worded, they kind of tried to make it seem like if they were the contractor that I had chosen, right? As, hey, circle back to me, I want to talk to you more in detail about this, when actually I had chosen a different contractor. So remember what I told you, if you're in Outlook, you're going to get this little pop-up over the hyperlink, but if you're not in Outlook, here's what you do. When you mouse over the hyperlink in an email, okay, at the bottom of the browser window, if you look down here, that's where it's actually going to show you the URL. So here, this email supposedly is from the support desk, but when you mouse over it, okay, it's not the support desk. It's taking you to a website in, I think, Japan. So that's a sure sign that it is a phishing email. So, what are some of the signs in this particular email? And this is something that I received. Well, firstly, this is supposedly coming from the help desk. Doesn't really have the name of the help desk. It's just a generic help desk. That's one of the signs, because they send it to a lot of people. So if you look at the reply to address, it's not the help desk. It's at some friendshipsomething.org domain. So that's one of the signs. You look here, they're using the Microsoft logo, so that's sort of a copyright infringement because this is not from Microsoft. They use a generic salutation. They write "Hello, Falcon IT Services" instead of actual writing my name. They write, again, they're using the piece of information they know, which is my email address. They're writing your Miguel@falcon.com password is set to expire on October 17th. So not only is that generic, but they're also threatening, right? They want me to act quickly. They're telling me that my password is going to expire and that I need to take action. Again, here's the threat: to avoid account disability, which is also a badly written. You need to click here, and then of course when you mouse over, you have the option to retain the same password, which is again unusual. But when you mouse over and you look at the bottom of your browser window, it's taking you to onelink.me. So again, it's not taking you to the site. This is trying to trick you into thinking that it's from the Microsoft support desk, and that you need to, that your password is going to expire. But again, when you mouse over the link to retain the same password, you look down here, and it's not taking you to the Microsoft site. It's taking you to the one link, and I've put a larger image of it here. I snipped a piece of it. See, it takes you to tw.onelink.me. So that's not Microsoft. Okay, here's another one, and let's look at what some of the signs on this fake email are. I'm going to give you guys a minute and see if you can figure out. All right, so let's start from the beginning. If you look here, final warning, alarmist message. They want you to act quickly. Your email storage is full. So they again, that's a red flag right there. Okay. This one is supposedly from support@falconitservices.com. Now they did a good job here because they spoofed the sender. Okay, but doesn't matter, because just like a caller ID, an email address could be spoofed or faked. So just because it shows from support at Falcon IT Services doesn't mean that it's from Falcon IT Services. Now, if you look at the format here, this is not the type of email that we would send to our clients. But the way that you could tell, again, here they give you a update mailbox now button. And if you hover your mouse over it, if you're in Outlook, you're going to get this pop-up that shows you that it's actually taking you to ipfs.io. That's not our website. That's not Microsoft Office 365 website. That's not Google website. That's not any email site that we use. So again, now you know it's fake. And if you're not using Outlook, remember you could still mouse over, and this URL that it's going to take you to, if you click on that link, is going to appear at the bottom of your browser window. Another thing that we could do is we could look at headers, and the headers tell us exactly where the email is coming from. In Outlook, if you open the email, if you double click it, and then you select from the file menu options, and then you'll see that under options there's something called headers. And when you look at the headers, okay, I know that you know, not being a techie, it's you look at this and it may be hard to read, but really all you have to do is look at the received from. And received from, it shows you that this email came from a place called rootlayer.net. Okay, and supposedly the sender is from falconitservices.com. So the two things don't match. Now, whereas this could be faked, the internet headers cannot. The email headers have the real IP where it's from, the real domain of, and as it passes through different servers, it has a record of all this, and that's very, very difficult to spoof. So that's another way that you can tell, and we'll help you out if you guys need to look at the headers to make sure that an email is from where it's supposedly from. Another thing that you could do is you could go to a website called mxtoolbox.com. And in mxtoolbox.com, there's a link where you click, and the link is something like analyze headers or something like that. But anyways, what you do is you copy the headers from your Outlook or your Gmail or whatever client email client you're using. You copy the headers, and then you paste them into the field in this mxtoolbox.com site, and it's actually going to do the analysis for you, and it's going to lay it out really simple, right? So if you look at this, it took these headers, and then you could start to see more information. Even though it's from Miguel at falconitservices.com, the from name is Blood Sugar Blueprint, and if you look here, down at the bottom, you see it passes by Google, it goes by Yahoo. We received it from a Yahoo server, so that's not from our server. Okay, so if you just look at the from in the prior email, you'll think, oh, it came from Falcon IT Services. But once you copy the headers and you analyze them in the site, you'll realize that it actually came from Yahoo.com website. So cyber criminals send phishing emails that include links to fake websites, such as mobile account login pages from known mail providers, asking the victim to enter their credentials or other information into the fake site's interface. Links could take users to fake versions of popular websites, which are designed to look exactly like the real one, and then ask them to confirm or update their account credentials. This is how you get your credentials stolen. This is how you get your session cookie stolen, by clicking on a link that takes you to a fake website. And how prevalent is this? Well, if you go to Google and you do a search, I did it. I typed fake web, and as soon as I typed fake web, I got, I wrote fake website, and then I got one of the suggested autocompletes was fake website maker. So there's a lot of people looking for fake website makers, and these are programs that basically go through a legitimate website, download it, copy it, and then allows the hacker to upload it to their own server, and then they could redirect people to these fake websites. So always look at the URL when you're clicking on a link. Don't just click on the link and just because it takes you to your bank's website, you think, oh, I'm in the bank, it looks exactly like my bank. Fake websites can look exactly like the real thing. Okay, once again, if you cut and paste your headers into MX Toolbox, it'll give you a lot of information that you can analyze. This particular email here, when if you see the results that we got from the headers, are from MicrosoftStoreEmail.com. Now, you can also research these domains that you're getting it from, because if you don't, you might think, well, this is this domain real? Is it really owned by Microsoft? As far as I know, usually when I get email from Microsoft, it's from email.microsoft.com. So you could just type the domain name here, and then you'll see from Microsoft Community, one of the blogs, somebody had already received an email from this MicrosoftStoreEmail.com. They wanted to know if it's real, and somebody wrote, no, it's fake. So just because it has the name Microsoft or the name Google or the name of your bank, you know, sometimes people buy copyrighted names or of sites or trademarked, registered trademark sites, and they could be up there for a while before somebody figures it out and has a takedown of the name. So just because you see the name doesn't mean that it's real. So one of the ways that you could check if you're in a real website, okay, not only should you Google the domain name, but you can also go to any registrar such as GoDaddy.com. You can also go to networksolutions.com, and at the bottom of the page of all these web registrars, there's always something called the Who Is, and the Who Is basically tells you who owns the domains, right? And most of the time they're private registrations. But there's another way that you can kind of get some information on it, and that is by the creation date. So I received an email from enterpriseproducts.com, and I wanted to know if that was real or not, right? It was enterprise-products.com. Now, when I clicked, it was an email stating that they wanted to buy some things from me. They wanted to have me fill out a form so that I could become a vendor. And when I went to enterprise-products.com from the link, it actually redirected me to enterpriseproducts.com. I called the number. They seem to be a real large company. But the reason I knew that this was fake is because I went into Who Is, okay, and I saw that the real enterpriseproducts.com here, okay, they're registered by Network Solutions, and they've been around, this website has been around since 2001. The one that I got in email, enterprise-products.com, had been registered in August 2023, and I had received that email in September 2023. So they had just bought that domain, put a dash in it so that it sounds similar to, you know, do some fraud. Now, when I clicked on the links, it actually redirected me to the real enterpriseproducts.com, and that's through we're going to talk about URL redirectors and obfuscators later on. That's one of the things that you have to be worried about. But if you look at the Who Is, that's another way to tell, get a good idea of who you're dealing with, because again, in this situation, this website's been around 2001. This one that's impersonating it was only open recently. And I've done this when buying things online from a website, where I noticed that a website that had a shopping cart with a product that I wanted, which was absolutely 30-40% cheaper than all the other sites, and that website had only been around for less than 2 months. So I figured, you know, I'm not going to buy from that. And you know, sometimes people open up a domain, they set up shop, they take a bunch of credit cards, they hold your shipping, they tell you, oh yeah, we're waiting, it's on back order, and then they just disappear. So that's another good way of determining who you're doing business with, as far as finding out how long they have been around online. Phishing can also come disguised as spam. In this one, I got a email that looks like it's from T-Mobile, but T-Mobile is not going to send me an email with the from address as me. And again, when I mouse over the hyperlink, it's really not taking me to T-Mobile. It's taking me to some Google site. It's probably a Google site where they have some type of malware has been uploaded, and they're hoping you're going to click it and download it. And sometimes these things could be up for a few days or even weeks before they're reported and they're taken down. Again, here's another one, supposedly from AT&T. I know AT&T is not going to send me a spoofed email from address there. The name here is from iPhone 14, from Miguel to Miguel. I know AT&T is not going to do that. So again, if they might try to trick you by making you believe that it's just a marketing or advertising, and you let your guard down. And this one's really well done. If you look at the graphics here, it's really, really well done. This is high quality. This is something like what the real AT&T might send. Here's another one that came in my phone, and this is allegedly from DeWalt. And if I look at my phone, okay, they write, I look and it's from DeWalt Drill, because on a phone you can't really see the entire from, you just see the name. So if you let your guard down, you might really think it's from DeWalt. Now, when I click if you're on your phone and you want to see the real from, just double click on the sender from, and it's going to take you to this screen. And here you can see that the from address is actually sales whatever at dewaltdrillshop.com. And another way that you could tell whether a site is real or not is remember, you could go to the Whois to look at the date, see how long it's been around. But one of the best resources is Wikipedia. So if you go to Wikipedia and you type DeWalt Drill, you're going to hit a site that's going to talk about DeWalt, the company, how long they've been around, and it's going to have a link to their site. And according to Wikipedia, the real DeWalt Drill site is dewalt.com, not dewaltdrillshop.com. So that's how I know that this is fake. Another nice trick that you could use to check not only websites but file attachments is a site called virustotal.com. Okay, that's virustotal.com. So you go to www.virustotal.com, and in the URL, you click on URL, and in here you could type in the name of a website that you think may be a fake website, a site that they're trying to steal information, or a site that you just suspect to be fraudulent. And it's not going to tell you if it's real, if it's not, if it's fake, if it's the real site, but it will tell you something very important. It's going to tell you if that site has some type of malware that's running on it that could infect your PC. So when you put the site name here and you click on the scan, it'll check its database, and if there's nothing on there and it has not been flagged by any vendors, you're going to get this green clean button. And as you can see here, there's also file, right, where you can upload a file. If you receive a file and you suspect that it may be malicious, before you open it, you could upload that file to VirusTotal and have it inspected. QR codes are often used to circumvent security scanners looking for hyperlinks to malicious sites. They attempt to take you to a watering hole, a drive-by site where there's an attempt to infect your smartphone or divulge sensitive information. QR code scans can come in the form of emails, fake business cards, fake empty parcels, or stickers placed over real stickers in restaurants, retail shops, and other venues. So right now, this is fairly new in 2023, 2024. So they're sending a lot of these QR codes over email, so that it's not really, they're not links, they're not embedded links that an email scanner for phishing could look at and determine that it's taking you to a fake website. These QR codes are just graphics. Okay, so they bypass some security, and people will scan them right off their screen with their phone, and then you could potentially have your phone go to a malicious site and your phone may become infected. So you have to be very, very careful. Also, they could appear in fake business cards. There's been QR codes there's been fake parcels that have been left on people's doorsteps with QR codes where you open up and it has a paper says you didn't order this, scan here to return it. And I've even heard that in restaurants, hackers are going and they're putting stickers over the restaurant menu QR codes, and they're replacing them with their own QR codes. So when you scan the restaurant's QR code, it actually takes you to an infected website to try to infect your phone. Or they could take you to a phishing site, or they could take you to a watering hole site where they try to get you to log in, make a reservation, put down a credit card. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities. Redirects and shortened links. Malicious actors don't want to raise any red flags with their victims, and they therefore use shortened URLs to fool secure email gateways. Now, by default, we try to block them. URL shorteners is a system that takes a very long URL and it shortens it, like the bit.ly, right? And you see this all the time in sites like LinkedIn, where if you paste a long URL, it'll shorten it and put something that looks a lot prettier. This is all great, but hackers use this too, because then they could create a malicious link, send you to a website that may not even be here in the US. It may have an extension that's .ru or .whatever, and you're never going to know where it's taking you, because all you're going to see is that bit.ly, which is the URL shortener. So what I was previously talking about in the email, where you could hover your mouse over and see the URL that it's taking you to, if they're using these redirects or email shortened links, you're never going to know where it's taking you to. My rule of thumb is, if I receive an email with a link, or if I go to a website and there's a link and it uses a URL shortener, okay, I will not click on it. Okay, because I'm never going to know where it's going to take you to. And a lot of times I've seen where public hotspots, people log in and there's a URL shortener and things like that. They're common in sites like LinkedIn. We try to block them, but they're kind of ubiquitous across many sites on the internet. So sometimes our clients don't want them blocked. I'm just here to let you know that it's something that's dangerous to have. And if you're allowing them in your organization, you've got to make sure that you're aware what you're clicking and where it's going to take you to, and that you may not know that it takes you to somewhere until you're there. So they blend malicious and benign code. Those responsible for creating phishing link landing pages commonly blend malicious and benign code together. It might take the form of replicating the CSS and JavaScript of a tech giant's login page to steal users' accounts. So what does it mean? Sometimes you have blended pages, okay? Sometimes good scammers will follow up with a phone call. They'll send you an email. They'll follow up with a phone call telling you, hey, did you get the email? I'm calling from the bank. Your credit cards, had some unusual activity. If you think that because you got the call and you got an email, you think, oh, this must be true. Not necessarily. Don't let your guard down. Okay, follow the protocol, okay, where you hover over the link, where instead of clicking on it to go to your bank site, you just go to your browser and enter your bank site on the URL bar. This is another type of phishing that has become very common. And as we use more and more services from, for example, OneDrive, from WeTransfer, and things like that, right? You're going to see phishing emails that supposedly are from these places. Again, stick with the true, tried and tested, where when you hover over the link, okay, this email was supposedly where you go to get a spreadsheet from Microsoft OneDrive, but if you look here, it's really taking you to appspot.com, a different website. And that's probably a website where it's going to try to steal your credentials, steal your cookies, and so that they can get into your website. And here, This is an email where supposedly a PDF scan document came, but when you double click on it and you open the PDF, instead of the scanned document appears, you get a button, okay, that's asking you to go to a website to get the document. And this right there is a red flag. When you open up a PDF document, you should see its contents right away. So if I send you a PDF document and it's here's the financial statements. When you open up PDF, the financial statements should be shown right then and there. If there's an additional step that you have to take where you have to click on a button to go somewhere to get that, that's a scam. Okay, so don't fall for those. In this case, if you hover over the icon where it's asking you to open, it's actually going to take you to another website called probusclubscalgary.com. Obviously not the intended site. And again, here is WeTransfer. It's a commonly used when we have large attachments that don't normally go through email. People use this service, and hackers know this, so they're sending out fake, fake emails where they're telling you, we have a document waiting for you. The person, the intended sender, has send it by WeTransfer. If you're not careful, you might click on it and download a virus. And in cases like this, somebody, a hacker could upload a malicious file or a malicious document or a malicious link to this WeTransfer site and send it to you. In this case, the person that sent this email had done some research, some reconnaissance on the intended recipient, and they knew that the intended recipient received some they did business with this entity, so they purchased a entity name that was very similar sounding but wasn't the actual one, and they tried to trick somebody this way. So again, be careful when you get this. If you get something like this and you're not expecting it, okay. In this case, the person called in and said, "Well, call this Dar and find out if he or she had sent it." And when the phone call was made, no, they had no idea what they were talking about. So obviously this was fake. So consent phishing tricks users into granting permission to malicious cloud applications. To execute a consent phishing attack, an attacker first registers an OAuth 2.0 app with the target platform. Okay, so this is a lot of techno mumbo jumbo. I'm not going to bore you guys with it, but let me explain to you what really this means. You have, the cloud is like a bunch of islands, right? Where you may have your email here, you may have your CRM there, you may have your ERP there, and sometimes these things need to talk to each other. So you want to build a bridge between them. So you give authorization for one of your apps to talk to another. So for example, you might give your CRM access to your email, or vice versa, so that they can communicate with each other, so that you don't have to send email, exit your CRM to send an email. Now, if you've done consent auth in Microsoft, you've seen this window before, where you're being asked, the permission, where you're being told what permissions the application, and this could not just be an application that's on a web-based cloud somewhere. It could be a phone app, it could be a desktop app, but anytime that you see this, okay, it's asking for access, and you've got to be very, very careful who you're going to give access to. If you're giving access to an application to view your emails, to access your emails, to send emails on your behalf, okay, and again, they could be phone apps, desktop apps, or cloud services. If you're not sure, just cancel and call us, and we'll help you figure it out. If you get this unexpectedly, you've probably hit a website that is trying to get you to do this in order so that they can access either your email or your ERP or CRM through a consent. Or sometimes an app that you download could be malicious, and it's asking you for for access to these things so that they could steal information. Now, modern browsers display the domain name in dark black bold letters. Okay, so that's one of the things that we want to look at here. In this particular situation here, this was pre modern browser, so you're not going to see that, but anybody could buy a domain with, there's some restrictions, but people buy domain all the time. So for example, this person here bought a domain called paypal-account-protection.com. Now eventually somebody figured this out and they took it down because PayPal has a registered trademark, so they're able to have this taken down. But as you can see, the person that had this built a website that looked pretty good. I mean, and this snapshot was from years ago, so this was the older PayPal website, but they did a pretty good job. And not only can you buy these domains that have paypal.com, if you're not paying close attention and you just look at the URL bar, you're just going to see PayPal. Okay, and if you take that for granted and you don't look any further, you don't do your investigation, you might think you're logging into PayPal, but you're logging into a website. Another thing here is you can see that it's HTTP instead of HTTPS. And another trick that that fake websites use is they buy domains that are similar sounding. So for example, if you casually glance at these three, they all look the same, but only one is real, the first one. If you look at the second one, the O has been replaced with a 0, so it looks very, very similar. Now that I mentioned it, it's probably obvious, but if I hadn't mentioned it, it's not. And here, the third one is even harder to spot because the lowercase I has been replaced with an L. So it looks like just the I is uppercase. And again, that makes it very hard to spot. So somebody can buy this falconltservices.com and use that to try to impersonate us. So always look at the domain name, double check it, and look for the replacement of letters with similar looking characters. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Modern browsers will take the domain name and they will use bold. Okay, so here you see the www is kind of grayed out, then we have the domain name in bold, and then the rest is grayed out. And the reason that they do that is because there used to be a lot of this where somebody would purchase a domain and then have what are called subdomains. So here you'd think, if you look at this is the real website up on top. It's halifax.co.uk/credit card / and then you have the code, right, for the access. This particularly clever website, what they did is they bought a domain and it's embedded so much to the right that we don't even know what it is. But what they did is they used all these subdomains and they named it using similar naming conventions. So if you looked at this, you thought you were at halifax.co.uk because instead of a slash, you just had a dot. So they again, it's an old trick that it's not as prevalent anymore, but you still have to watch out for it. So always look for the domain name to be shown in bold, and that's how you know where you really are. Well, thank you for attending, and we hope to see you in part 4 soon.